Welcome to Carratragh Park, the home of Culdaff Football Club. The club is a centre for footballing excellence. Many volunteers over the past 50 years have greatly contributed towards the success of the club, both on and off the pitch, together with the fantastic support of the local community.
It was the local youth club that started the whole ball rolling. We hired the wee field McCarroll's. That was the first pitch we had, and it was very compact, you know. The way the wee pitch was, the fans, they were lined up along the sideline, you know. Jake was one of those, made calamity, you know, because some of our supporters were a bit boisterous about it, and you know, they were standing beside the players. They'd been known to come out if the ball came out near the touchline at all, some of these old boys would fucking stick their boot in it just. Needless to say, we had to buy rigs, football rigs, you know, and our first colours were black and blue, some like Antrim Milan, but not quite. There were no changing rooms, because even the away team had to change in cars and one thing, you know, and the referee had it, you know. Times their boy put on a cow anklet and one thing or other. You know where that ends up then. If you go in a heap, you're clattered and you know what. But so what should you do? You just have to make the best of it. Yeah, well, it was happy times.
We didn't do much formal training, but it was hard training. We trained on the beach, and then what we would have found then is when you went out onto a grass surface, after coming off the beach, you could run like hell. You were flying then, you know. So that was a big boost. The quality of players we had here in Shown and this general area in particular was very, very high. Before we left McCarroll's pitch in 1985-86 period, we had just won the Shown First Division, or Premier if you want to call it that, the year prior to that, and finished up in the final of the Ulster Junior Cup on the same year, you know. So that was early success.
You all know we started out pretty small, but McCarroll's field, literally right on our doorstep, maybe 40 feet away. I think we'd be there from summertime, from morning to evening, kicking the ball, just having fun.
We were always in the lookout for a bigger pitch. We approached the council then to see if they would lease us, as Carratragh now, if they would give us a long-term lease on it. We formed a new committee to oversee the development of the pitch. Well, we had a good, hard-working committee, and Bernard was in the committee as well, but being a county councillor, you know, he was a great help to us. So, it was a big undertaking at the time. This thing took maybe 3 years before it was playable, you know. You know, there was a lot of fundraising in that. We got wee bits of grants along the way.
That's my first memory of Culdaff Football Club, down there with my father, and you have Brien, Deeney, you had all the local men down, levelling around the pitches and sowing the bits of grass. So there was topsoil gathered from every part of Culdaff Parish, Balkan Parish, all over, and it was all voluntary, which was a phenomenon which seemed to go through our club at all stages of our progression. It's like a green field in the middle of the Sahara. When you see it now from a distance, like it was a fantastic achievement, and it was years ahead of its time.
We were lucky to have got access to Carratragh and getting a long-term lease. And Bernard McGuinness would have played a great role in getting that link set up, you know, and we were all young fellas, but all of a sudden we became trustees of the club. There were 7 of us then nominated to be trustees, and it was a great experience even at that time to be doing that, you know, but the quality of what we developed down there was first class.
When we opened that new pitch, we got Derry City to come down, and we picked up a team of Fundraising players. Derry come and opened the pitch for us because at that time Their goalkeeper is actually from Glenelg. He's Mahan, Gary Mahan.
And then with the help of Mickey the Horrible, Mickey McLaughlin, we got Pat Jennings over to do the official opening. And we had the two Dolan boys who were youth internationals. It was just a great day, but Pat Jennings was probably the icing on the cake then. He was a brilliant ambassador, and I think he signed autographs for hours afterwards when we were out.
My name is Seamus O'Connor, Chairman of Culdaff Football Club. We're here at Culdaff Park today. There's a game between Culdaff FC and Milford United. The Culdaff Football Club was formed in 1972 and the Culdaff Park was opened in 1985 by Pat Jennings. The later stage of development involves the building of club rooms and changing facilities at Culdaff Park. The work is at an advanced stage. This building also includes public toilets and will give great service to visitors at Culdaff Beach, approximately 100 metres away.
I suppose one of the reasons we went into the Ulster Senior League in the first place, we were in it for a total of 5 years, but one of the reasons we ventured into it was it was a step up to intermediate football, and the reason was back down to the quality of the pitch again, that we were coming under pressure that we should go into it, and then our local team had won the Inishowen League the year prior to that anyway. So that was kind of the reason that, in hindsight, it was a short-term juncture, but it put the club on a great profile, even nationally, you know. In the FAI Intermediate Cup, we were drawn away to Rockmount and Cork, Roy Keane's old team. There were 50 or 60 people in that whole trip to Cork, and we had the best time ever. And what finished it off well was John Coyle scored the winning goal as we beat Rockmount 1-0, a very strong intermediate team, and the result of that was qualifying to play Shamrock Rovers in the FAI Cup down here at Carratrail.
Shamrock Rovers had a big draw and a massive crowd altogether. Yeah. 2,500 spectators.
Oh, Charlie Bird was down there beforehand and interviewed Bernard right on the top of an old wooden training clubhouse there. I remember from the posters that they were the 26 times winner of the cup. Mm-hmm. So that was a fairly daunting challenge for little Culdaff, you know, to be playing against that. But it was a great occasion. As I say, we hadn't the right perimeter fence, but the official that came from Sligo to check it out said it would just have to go ahead because of the setting and the quality of the pitch as well. After winning the Ulster Senior League, we qualified for the Senior League Cup the following year, which got us games against Finn Harp, Sligo Rovers and the Derry City team. But the Derry team were no ordinary team. They were the Derry City's treble winning team. So we played them the Brandywell. Now they whipped us 6-1, but that was irrelevant to the story. We got a bit of finance out of that as well.
There was a lot of positive experiences, you know, for the club in the Senior League as well. The exposure the club and the village got through winning the Ulster Senior League, through their participation in the FAI Junior Cup. Rural areas, in my opinion, are more suited to the junior game, and you know, in the junior game, you have an affinity with your local club, your local school, your local community. Whereas to compete at intermediate level, you nearly need to expand your player base, and you know, when you're taking in players from outside, they don't have that same affinity with the community and with the club. You
know, there was a high profile with the Ulster Senior League, but it was never going to be long lasting. As I say, it took that much attention or that much work to keep it going that it was the youth football would have been suffering then, you know. So after a full 5 years, it was time to move back into junior football again. Brien Houghton was the main driving force in youth football. He used to pile them nearly all into a large car that he had, and when he was finishing work in the evening, his wife had the dinner ready for him, and he brought the plate with him in the car as he drove those young fellas to the game. He did wonderful work, and he brought the first underage success to Culdaff. They won the Inishowen under 13 Cup, and I think were runners up in the league in the same season. And that team just brought a whole cream of young players. Even to this day, they're a great bunch of fellas. They all stuck together. They're great friends, even as we speak, you know. So There's a great bonding for young people in sport. And most of them are now heavily involved in running the club as well, you know.
There was a bit of a changing of the guard between the Ulster Senior League Committee and the boys that were in the club and the committee at that time, and then a newer, maybe younger model or whatever. And the likes of Neil Ruddy and Brendan Lafferty and Brien McGonigal, John McFeely, Paddy McFeely, David McLaughlin, Edward Ruddy, and myself sort of come in as a new committee in the early 90s. And the committee then at the time decided that the direction was to go back to the initial league, and we just evolved from that. And apart from the pitch and the clubhouse, all our developments really would have occurred when we were playing in the initial league. So it hasn't held us back in that respect.
Over 4 Premier Division seasons, we lost eight league games in the whole 4 seasons, you know. We had regular trips to McGinn Park, to finals, and some big evenings when the cavalcade come back to Culdaff, and we circled the town and then onto McGuinness's and Culdaff Arms and McGrory's to toast the cup.
The great team that Hugh ever just got stronger and stronger, and we eventually got into the Premier League. We were very close on a few occasions to winning it, but the big year came in 1999 when we won the league, the initial Premier League, and that was probably definitely the highlight of my career with Culdaff FC. It was amazing. It was a relief and a brilliant achievement. That season we played 18 games and we won 15 and drew 3, so we went through the season undefeated, which was a brilliant achievement. But we had a great squad, very committed squad. We made great friends that year. There was a really tight bond between the players, and we still have it to this day. The day we won the league, I think we had to win our last game. We were playing Deeney on the last day, and it was quite tight for the first 20 minutes. It was 0-0, so there was a little bit of nervousness, but then thankfully we won the game in the end, and just the relief and utter joy that everybody experienced, because we were so near in previous years. We might have been 1 or 2 points behind, and then we had a cavalcade around the town, and you had people out. I can still see people out clapping on the doors and driving around Glories and back to McGuinness's. I think we maybe went around 3 or 4 times before we eventually stopped.
That was a big night. We had many a big night. Won or lose, it doesn't make a bit of us.
20 brilliant players won that league. It's easy to manage a team when you've good players. People will forget that Deeney McFeely scored a winning goal against Rashini when we won 6-5.
Hugh not only policed the team, but he kept them in on a Saturday night. If you were in the pub on a Saturday night, you didn't get playing, and you have to admire Hugh for that, because that was a huge commitment at that time. But saying that now, he didn't have a while out at nights to go out bluffing for boys, because most of them stayed in because they knew how important that season was. And it's a season that will be talked about in 30 years' time, because for a club our size to win the Premier League, it's fantastic. And to stay in the Premier League as long as they actually did, and to be back in it this year in their 50th is a mighty achievement.
Clubs tend to get a big group of players coming together and are successful for those 3, 4, 5 seasons, and then it takes some time then for the next bunch of lads to come along again.
My earliest memories are attending Saturday morning football with my near neighbour Hugh, who would have coached us from an early age. There was no primary school football at the time. It was an honour to play for the club and then to manage the club as well. So I've now sort of taken a back seat and kind of more heavily involved in the youth structure.
On a Monday evening, John would have up to 40 kids down there, boys and girls, every Monday evening, and 2 or 3 people helping them, and they get a great start. It's fun football, but they really love it.
They're so enthusiastic. They're wanting to learn. They so look forward to going to the Monday night fun football, and they're brilliant to work with because it's just the enthusiasm and the utter joy that they get out of it is just unbelievable. And once you get them into the warm up and the way of working, they're easy to work with. Like, you know, they're wanting to learn, they want to improve, they want to make a better pass, they want to score a goal. And, you know, it's brilliant for them. And you're 100% right. They're socialising as well with their friends. They're working on their agility, their balance, their coordination's improving. They're not inside, you know, playing PlayStations, just out in the fresh air. And we're so lucky to have Caratra. It's a safe place. It's cordoned in, so when parents leave them off, they know that, you know, they're going to be in a safe environment. And and then hopefully we're preparing them for the future when they step up to the underage teams and maybe even play with the first team someday. I mean, like, we've had some players down there, young Erin I remember down there as a young age, and then, you know, to go on and play for Ireland, it makes you very proud to see somebody like that who started off at under 7, under 8 level, and then to see her playing for Ireland is just amazing. You know, it's just that's what it's all about. But it's not just about the successful players as well. It's just about everybody coming down, having a good time and enjoying themselves, and especially at a young age. And maybe then they'll get the appetite for it as they go into their teenage years. You know, that's what it's all about.
The ladies have done really well. I suppose numbers sometimes are a bit challenging when we'd interact with Glenealy. Sometimes for a while we used to put in joint teams, and some of them played with Malin Head at different times. But we have 2 or 3 young players that have been really outstanding. This girl, Erin McLaughlin, is the most talked about player about. She's joined Peamount United now in Dublin, and she's a real star. She's played international, has scored winning goals against England.
I probably started playing for Culdaff when I was about 5 or 6. Probably got introduced to the club because my daddy was actually manager of the reserves team. So I used to go to like every game, every training, and then I was playing with the under 10s, well, it's under 10s, under 8s down in Culdaff, the fun football. And everyone just loved going, and you'd be at school and all you'd be talking about is going to football that evening, or who we were playing at the weekend and who scored the most goals, everything. Like, there was always like so much buzz around Culdaff for football, and like everyone wanted to be playing, and it was just a great community for the football as well, and everyone was involved. If it wasn't for like playing football back then and all the opportunities you got, I moved from under 10s, then you went up to under 12s, under 14s, played for Culdaff until I was like under 16s boys. I think even playing with the boys just helped me improve so much as a player, and if it wasn't for Culdaff then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that. So, and I think it stands to me too. When I first started playing for Ireland, I think that because I was playing with the boys, it just stood to me so much as a player. Playing for your country, like, it doesn't get much bigger than that. And I got selected to play in a friendly against Northern Ireland, and I started the game. It was wearing number 10, and it was just a really proud moment, like walking out and my family were there supporting. And I actually scored in that game. I think we beat them it was like 6-1 or something.
I coached Erin at a own level, you know, and she always had the talent, she had the application. If ever you wanted to, you know, somebody that deserves the success he's got, because, you know, I live in the main street, and I saw so many days over so many years that you'd be heading down to Caratra with a bag and a ball on her own, and putting the effort in and working on our skills and working on what you needed to work on.
It's the very fact that our club has a player that gets out in the green of Ireland is a remarkable achievement for any club, let alone a small club up here. But the amazing thing about Erin is Erin has been here playing with boys, girls and ladies, and she's came the whole way through this club from grassroots, and a lot of the younger girls looks up to her. But Erin puts her time back into the club, and that's a great testament to her. And as well as that, we have had numerous other girls that have done very, very well, and we're hoping in the next couple of years we'll reap the benefits of that too once the ladies starts up again. You had Eilish Bale, Katrina Ruddy, Anya Doherty, Patricia Harkin. They were the pioneers of ladies football. They were the people that kept it going, and they're still there today behind the scenes working at the club and helping out, and it's brilliant to see it.
A very strong girls committee there as well, or they get involved and they always come and watch the matches. For example, they always help out in fundraising events, Sports Day in particular, and it'd be nice. I think we're going to actually maybe have another senior girls team as well in the future coming up. With very strong. You'll see there at the underage level we have a large number of girls taking part in our youth football teams. So we hope in sometime in the future maybe to have a girls team again.
And don't forget the most important woman of all, Anne Harley. That woman has washed more kits over the years and kept everybody in pristine condition. It's unbelievable what she has done.
Over many years, Anne Harley looked after the jerseys for the club, and she made sure that we're always spick and span every time we went out, and any time I called for a set of jerseys, she had everything ready for me.
I started the washing way back in probably 86. It was the first game of the Ulster Senior League, and someone was to leave the jerseys in the laundry but forgot. And on the Thursday, Bernard McGuinness asked me if I'd wash them out for Sunday, and I said, okay. So I'm still at it. Paddy played with him, and then Derek and Kieran played for a while, and John Joe. And Yvonne played a couple of years with the ladies when they started out first. They're very close-knit, like a family. They play with Culdaff, they seem to stay with Culdaff. Very little of them ever goes anyplace else. Or even if they do, they come back again. So it's just, there's something about the club. I don't know what it is, but they're very loyal to one another. And hopefully it'll stay that way. This is a present. First team jersey. And these here are going back a bit. A few years, well, not too far now. That would have been the one they had before the last one, and this is an older one. And this one here is the kit they use when they're clashing colours. This is the Bonner one, the reserves. It's not as bad as it was years ago. Years ago the pitches were terrible, they were muck and you name it. But nowadays most of them all have good pitches and they're not too bad now. I remember one time years ago, now that is years ago, they were playing up in Redcastle, and the youth team and the first team's bags were the same, and I gave them the wrong outfit. And they were all up running around Redcastle with these wee jumpers on. That was a laugh. So it was. But they were all right in the smaller ones, but the taller fellas had a bit of a problem. Oh, I love Culdaff, everybody knows that, and hopefully they'll keep going. And I'll keep going as long as I can too.
The fundraising, I have to say, there's a handful of fellas out there and they deserve great credit for the fundraising over the years.
When we came in as a committee in the early 90s, one of the first fundraisers we put in place was a night at the races, and that has served us extremely well over the years. Really successful night for the club. It's a big fundraiser for the club. We would have our annual sports day. That has served the club well out over the years. We would also have had Good as New, and a lot of ladies and mothers and wives and girlfriends would have put in huge effort into a Good as New shop that we had in Carndonagh for 6 weeks every year. And then we would have had our Christmas Bazaar, which was a recent addition. On top of that, we would have had silver circles and draws, and in the early 2000s we had a couple of big draws, and all those combined, along with our latest one, which is our 50-50 weekly draw now. There's a huge amount of money involved for our own clubs and teams, with public liability insurance, personal accident insurance, all the expenses that every club has. But as I said earlier, when the local community have supported all our fundraising efforts to the backbone, we're greatly indebted to them for their support. Bernard's, well, as I said, his role in the committee was before my involvement with the club. But as long as I've been in Culdaff, he's always been a great supporter of the club. He's been a sponsor year on year, supported every activity that the club have done, and was also extremely generous, especially from his Councillors Development Fund, in giving grant aid to Culdaff FC on a regular basis. And we greatly appreciated all his support and input. And on numerous occasions, of course, as well, we went for his advice, and he would work away quietly in the background and do what he could do when things were going on, and probably done more than maybe a lot of us know.
Seamus O'Connor and Seamus Doherty, the Bush, they're two legends of the club as well. They go back a long way. They probably flitted in and out at so many different levels. Probably the first one from Seamus O'Connor comes to mind is the running of the sports day. It's just been a backbone of the whole community for many years, and people would come from miles around. And the standard of competition and the fun that day was great, and it was a good fundraiser for the clubs over as well. But the two likely lads of Seamus O'Connor and Seamus the Bush now, they were always key to that, and they were always there for any other event that was coming up, anything of a social nature. Two boys did magnificent work over the years, along with the late Andy Scott as well, particularly Andy. And going back further, you had the Glenealy contingent as well, with Joe Kearney and Barney Lafferty and Pat Feather. Those were all very important people in the history of our club, you know.
We understood how hard working the committee were to set up the pitch down there in 1985, to move from McGrory's Field down there. They were obviously an ambitious committee back then. They were hard working. Like, we had lots of sponsorship of rigs. We had everything we wanted. The clubhouse was built. So I suppose you want to put back in what you've seen, what you've got. You know, you want to work as hard as you can for the community and for the club, because people before you have provided all these brilliant facilities for you. And yeah, there's just that particular group of players are still in the committee, and they're working hard to provide football for the future for the local young boys and girls around here.
A lot of people have given a lot of their time over the years, and we seem to always have a great calibre of people that came into that ran the club or took senior positions in it, and they just didn't commit for a short term. They gave a lot of themselves over the years on it, you know.
Culdaff on the attack. Here's Jack O'Brien, plays the ball through the defender's leg. Keeper saves. Jack Fuldara. Oh, what a finish from the young striker. A typical cool finish. What a start for Culdaff FC. 1-0 up.
You know, the facilities that are in place and that we keep trying to improve, they're for the next generation. They're not for our generation. And they're for the generation after that and the generation after that. But you still need people to come along and keep driving it forward. The facilities, number one, is a big, I suppose it's indicative of the factor of the structure of the clubs and the amount of work that they put in on the ground. They're also the youth structure that all clubs have. You know, now for the last 10 or 15 years, they're catering from 5 and 6 year olds up. And you know, that filters through all the way up to the top. And that's the youth of the day is your senior team of tomorrow. So I suppose the work on the ground and the facilities go hand in hand. With the level of players all over the spectrum, both boys and girls, that are coming out of Inishowen and are going on to play in the League of Ireland underage leagues, and the League of Ireland itself, and the National Women's League, you know, getting international caps. I think there's a huge talent of soccer within Inishowen. And now with the structures that are in place, there's opportunities, you know, for players to go on as high as they want to go in the game, or as high as they're able to go. You know, we're a small rural locality, and the numbers in the school are low, and you know it is difficult. But you're hoping that the work that you put in at the underage level will come through to senior level, and that you know the players will maintain the interest and the desire to play for the senior team when they get to that age. Everything is in place. You know, there's no reason why we can't continue to be competitive, and you know, success can be measured in different ways. We provide a service to the local community, and you know, give opportunity for the boys and girls when they're 4, 5, 6 years of age to play up to when they're 35 or 36 if they want, and if they still remain in the locality. So a lot of the parameters are really outside our control, but you know, the structures are in place and the facilities are in place. So you know, if the numbers are there and people are still willing and want to play football, then definitely the future is bright.
Critical time in the match, in swinging corner from Aidan Cunningham, and there's Ryan Green curling a header into the back of the net. Culdaff going 2-0 up. What a fantastic goal by Culdaff. Our 50th year was another great one for the club. A very talented young squad managed by Martin McGranahan gained promotion to the Premier Division. The future looks very bright indeed for Culdaff FC.
First of all, I congratulate Culdaff FC, the 50th year anniversary. Amazing achievement. To all the players, ex-players, coaching staff, management, what goes on behind the scenes it's really an amazing achievement. Thank you all for what he's put into this club, made it grow to what they are today.
We're very, very proud of the club that we have here in Culdaff. It's a great part of the world, and we're blessed with a great community spirit. I think we've always had great goodwill towards the club within the community. Not all soccer clubs seem to manage to achieve that, but I think we've had that here. You know, there's great goodwill in the community, and long may that continue.
50 years anniversary of the club, it's an opportunity as well to remember, and all those people are no longer with us, and that played a huge part in the development of the club over the years. And I suppose to thank the local community for their help and support, because without that help and support, there's no way the club would have achieved, especially off the field, but all the things that they have achieved.
I love playing. I love football from a young age, and there was no better pride than pulling on the shirt of Culdaff, and you wouldn't think of even dreaming of doing it for any other club. But the thing that made Culdaff so special was because everybody in that changing room with you grew up with you and played with you the whole way through, and they had your back no matter what way you played. That's the way it was. If you come in at a young age into a club, it's a family. You come into a family, and you have, when you're coming into these situations, 8, 9, 10 years of age, you go the whole way through the system with them, and they're always looking out for you. The older boys is looking out for the younger fellas, and then you get into senior teams, and it's the same. That's why I think clubs are so important to the community, because in this modern time now, it's more difficult for children growing up, and they need a sense of belonging, and I think that's where football clubs and GA clubs come into their own. And I think we've one of the best in the country here, to be honest with you, if not the best.
I think Culdaff FC is ingrained in the community. It's a very important part of the community. It's not that big a community, when people see it as sort of an outlet or somewhere to go and watch, and a topic of conversation almost.
I think it's just the kind of family vibe it has around it, and everyone, you go down there on a Sunday to watch a game and you're chatting, everyone knows everyone, and everyone just gets along, and they're just happy to be there, no matter if they win, lose or draw. Everyone's just happy to be part of it, I suppose.
When I left Culdaff, I was 23 years old, playing senior league, and left at half time of extra time of the game. It was the most emotional time I ever had. Still CL players and all the locals congratulating me and patting me and wishing me all the luck.
Even if you don't like football, you're involved in the club, people are just getting involved, they want to help out and want to do things to help the club grow as much as it can.
And anything that the club has done since its involvement in 1972 has been backed by the local community 100%. Everything that we've done, we've had some fantastic milestones. The pitch development in the 1980s, first of all. Then the clubhouse was added. Then we had a training pitch added in the early 90s. Then we were the first club in the league to have floodlights. Then we put the perimeter fence and path around the pitch. Our last project was the installation of a sprinkler system. And our next project will be the renovation of the clubhouse. And every one of those projects have been hugely backed by fundraisers that the club have won and supported by the local community. And as a community-based club, the school use our pitch. We give our facilities out to a lot of different community groups.
We have a lot of great characters that has been there all down through the years, and we've lost a lot of good characters along the way, and we never forget them. Because there's been great players who's played with us, there's managers who's been down there who's managed, and there's been great committee members before we came on board that's actually gone, and this 50th should be about remembering them and for all they put into our club, and only for them we wouldn't be here today.
There's just great work being done there, and some very impressive young players coming through again.
I see a great future for Culdaff Football Club.
As you improve your facilities, I think it's only going to help people maybe stay and want to play for the club as well. So we have to be hopeful, and keep working hard, and maybe more success will be around the corner, you know.
It's been an important part of my life to have been a member of Culdaff Football Club, and long may it continue for everyone.
Playing with heart and soul and just love of the game. It's one of a kind. Culdaff FC. Let's go, boys.
Here's Ryan Green on the left wing. He looks to play it inside. Oh, interception by Rashini. Rashini start the break. Oh, what an interception by Thomas O'Brien. And he unleashes a thunderbolt into a top corner. No chance for the keeper. Culdaff are on their way. Fantastic goal.
Up Culdaff!
Up Culdaff!
Up Culdaff!
Culdaff!